Okay, I have like 2 more seconds to think of a cool intro. No, it's too late. There's no cool intro. Dave, hi. Fantastic to see you.
Hey, how you doing? Yeah, that countdown goes by very quickly, but
Like lame intros are what this show is known basically. So it's really good to see you.
it's good to see you too,
Good
man.
morning
Guten
and
Tag.
Guten Tag.
Mm.
Your German is getting better by the second. So is my Spanish, by the way.
Incrementally.
Like I'm on day 70 or so of a Spanish Duolingo streak.
Brilliant, brilliant
Yeah,
stuff.
and
I
that
daren't
app is getting
use
better and better at
Duolingo.
using gamification against me.
Yeah. My kids have used it, and I daren't use it because the owl, man. I've seen the adverts.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it turns out that they have new courses, and the new courses are way better at avoiding the thing that always annoyed me with Duolingo, which is like, oh yeah, we're just gonna do very like quirky random sentences that have no meaning because then they're kind of funny and more easy to remember. And also, we're never gonna explain any grammar concept at all. And they kind of
Yep.
stepped away from that. So now they have like these lessons that are based on like, oh, you're in a restaurant. So here are all the restaurant phrases. And oh, you're traveling. So here are all
Okay.
the traveling phrases. And also every, I don't know, few bubbles, there's like a short video that says like, here's how to talk about grammatical gender in Spanish or something like that. So yeah,
Okay.
thumbs
So you're
up.
getting a lot
Also
of
a friend of
context
mine,
to a lot of useful stuff.
yes, also a friend of mine invited me to her Duolingo family. So I don't have to endure the adverts because those are horrible.
Fair play. So learning Espanol for you,
See.
and I'm learning. I'm slowly learning a new language, but it's not a spoken language. It's a development language. But we'll talk
Ooh.
about that in a minute.
I was
Because
I was
as you
gonna guess it
know,
was New Zealandish, but it is
oh no,
not.
no, no. I mean, yes, I have a whole lot of work to do at some point learning Te Reo. I know little bits of the Maori language, but I'd love to know more. And yeah, that is on the list, but I don't know if Duolingo is finally supporting that or not.
Would be
But
cool though.
the language I was thinking about was a technical one, but I am not going to talk about that until you've introduced the show, Daniel.
Hey, welcome to Waiting for Review, a show about the majestic indie developer lifestyle. Join your scintillating hosts to hear about a tiny slice of their thrilling lives. I'm Daniel, papercraft enthusiast and chief water drinker at Telemetry Deck, and I'm here with Dave, thought leader, rebel, and advertising lead at Lightbeam Apps. Join us while waiting for review.
Did that just roll off the top of your head? Because I was
No,
not
I
sure
was
what to
lying when I
expect
thought.
there.
I was lying when I said I didn't have anything prepared.
Oh, well, what an
Right,
intro.
indeed. So I'm the water drinker enthusiast. So let me get a sip of water while you tell me about the new language that you're learning.
Cool. So I'm very slowly picking up bits of Kotlin and Compose. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm on my multi platform learning arc, which I'd love to do in a 3 minute montage, but doesn't seem to be possible in real life. Um, yeah, so I hit up the Kotlin multi-platform documentation, started having a poke around and a look. I made my first Hello World project, um, compiled and ran it on my Android device, and then compiled and ran it on my iPhone. Okay, cool. It's behaving exactly the same on both as you'd expect. Um, that's sweet. What do I do next? And I ran headfirst into I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know how state is managed through this stack. I don't know, um, yeah, all manner of different things in terms of how it actually works. I can get so far with ChatGPT, but I don't really want to do that. I kind of want to understand the stack that I'm potentially working in. So long story short, I'm now going through the Android documentation for classic Kotlin and Compose. which is basically the same in terms of how it operates, because that is a pretty well documented and a reasonable intro into all of this. So I'm at Hello World 0.1 in terms of my learning and my arc. Yeah. But
Do you
this
have
is
like a specific project in mind that you want to build this in this technology, or is it just like noodling around at this point?
ultimately I want to rebuild everything that I've got in the App Store in a way that then lets it run on Android as well. So there's probably 2 or 3 routes that could go. Number one is that I just keep the existing iOS stack with SwiftUI and everything else. That is working. That's it. And then I rebuild Android separately. That's our possibility. And that's probably going to be what I do sort of initially, to be honest with you. But there's a whole load of technicality to actually making this thing all work. I've got to have my video effects. I've got to have everything in terms of how the pipeline and stack works for the existing app. And so that's the project. That's the goal. I probably need something less ambitious to at least sort of learn and then go and reapply that learning. But I don't really have that right now. So at the moment, I'm at the I just want to learn stage.
Maybe you should really, because this is a very unique idea and no one has thought of this before. Maybe you should like try to build a to-do app.
Yeah, or a note-taking app, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, maybe.
Okay,
um,
but serious or more like, yeah. Let's say it's a serious question. So when I
mhm,
see Android apps, a lot of the time, my very pampered UI loving mind is kind of annoyed at the fact that seemingly less thought has gone into the user interface than would have on like a typical iOS app.
mhm.
Is that like, now that you're kind of in contact with the technology, is that like coming from the technology? Like, is the tech just like guiding you towards like a less awesome UI, or is it just like the developers who develop for Android, or am I going to get thousands of hate comments for this comment?
Yeah. At the moment, I'd say I don't know enough to really reply in any depth. But my gut feel is that for the apps that lean all the way into material UI and the design language that's offered through that, you'll get a good Android experience. That seems to be the divide now. Anything that's gone hard out into that end of stuff then starts to feel more homely on Android. And as I understand it, once you've got things all nicely set up, you can kind of get an approximate sort of experience back for the multi-platform app over on Apple environments as well. So at this stage, though, I am learning,
Right.
and like I say, I think I need to do my little to-do app, something like that, to
Oh yeah, I
really
totally get that.
understand the
Like,
edges. Yeah.
I don't want to push you in
But
any direction. I'm just like really curious, even
yeah,
though it's
but what
kind of slightly inflammatory.
Yeah, but my gut feel is like you're not wrong. Like certainly in the history of Android apps, from what I can see, there's a real variety in approaches and UI. Whereas over in Apple land, we've got a lot of stuff that's on the rails for iOS that sort of helps you not make too crufty an app. You do still see them out there though. If you look in
Yeah, but
certain categories in the App Store, they're
it
there.
feels like there's less of them. Like, of
Yes.
course, like there's a certain type of computer enthusiast,
Hmm.
um, basically like your typical Linux guy, and I can say that because I used to be your typical Linux guy,
Yep.
who
Yep.
makes as if they make a UI, it tends to have a certain type of very like utilitarian look,
Yep.
and that's what you see sometimes in iOS. But like whenever I look at someone's phone, it's either material style app, so it looks like Google Mail,
Hmm.
or Gmail, or it looks like Linux. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe not Linux guy, maybe Linux person. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Or
like
it,
the
or
question is like,
yeah.
does this come from
Sorry, go on.
somewhere? Like, yeah, that's the question we need to explore over the next
Yeah,
48 episodes of this excursion.
we'll see. In my opinion, though, I don't think it's the stack that fully leads that. I think it probably has been elements of not maybe in the past, and you've got apps that have got that sort of lineage over in the Android side. But as I say, I sort of gut feel is that those that are leaning into the material side of stuff will feel more homely.
Right. And so if you say material design, that's like the design of Google's own apps, right? So
pretty much, yeah.
Does it look the same on iOS and Android then? Like, does it look like Gmail or Chrome or?
Yeah, at the moment that's where I'm at. So all the tutorial stuff, it's not really, it's not smoothed out to be looking like it's UI kit on the iOS side.
Right.
This is where I will, for my own app, dodge a bunch of this to some degree, because if you go and look at GoVJ in the store today and the UI and the dash that it's got, it is very much like the dashboard. It's very much like a dashboard app. You've got controls, you've got triggers, you've got buttons, and if you look at, say, music hardware or virtual instruments, for example, it shares more with that end of things than it does with, say, a beautiful to-do app, for example, that utilizes all of SwiftUI's bells and whistles and all of the design language that we've got. So to some degree, I can step to the side and go, I don't really care whether it looks fully native or not, because actually it's not that sort of app. As long as the dashboard works functionally, if you've got non-native looking setting screens and things like that that are sort of to the side of the main UI, I don't believe my users are really going to care, to be honest with you, as long as it works and it's letting them mix their video and do their thing. So to some degree, what I'm making is sitting outside of needing that, if you like, in terms of what it does.
Yeah.
So
Totally
I'm not in your typical category of them wanting to have a purely native, purely, Apple or Android design guide orientated app for this. So, there we go. I've just got a thumb up on my camera. Thank you. But yeah, so I think that's probably all I've got to say on this topic for now. I'm very much at Hello World. It's fun, and I think I would recommend to anybody very firmly in the iOS camp who's listening to this going, what the hell? Try it. Have a look. Download Android Studio. Have a look at some of the tutorials. Give it, an hour or two of your time just to have a steer around what it looks like. Because what I'm finding is the more I'm learning about, say, how the Compose stack works and how that drives itself with state and everything else, actually it lets me reflect on the bits that I know about in the Apple stack, and I'm kind of grafting concepts from one side to the other, and it's expanding my knowledge base, and I don't think that hurts anybody to sort of have a bit of a play like that.
I like that.
Yeah.
Does this? How does this fit with your business goals, if any? Like, is it just like a? Is this more like the motivation is just like, okay, I want to learn something new and be less beholden to Apple, or is it here? There's a business opportunity.
It's not. It's a business opportunity once I feel like I can actually do it. But that could be a year away. That could be 2 years away before I actually go, okay, I'm going to start going, serious about this. For the moment, it's extracurricular. It's, I'm basically sending myself to night school to learn a bit of this stuff.
Night school. Night school. It's like school,
no
but
jousting,
cool and neon.
with knights.
With knights. I was thinking like cyberpunk or something. Welcome to Night City, where kids go to night school.
I mean, the two concepts could be merged. They could have like neon jousting sticks and stuff, Daniel. That
I
could be a
like
thing.
that. Yeah, let's have that. Anyway, I'm very much looking forward to like hearing your stories from the other side. The only experience that I had with that whole stack is when I built the I didn't even build the telemetry deck Kotlin SDK, like our friend Konstantin built it for me, but I wanted to write documentation for it, so I kind of built a minimum viable app that was just like, it needs to be able to run, and there needs to be one button that just triggers anything.
Yep.
And so that's the extent of my Kotlin and Compose knowledge, which is incredibly tiny, but still,
Yep.
It was a fun experience.
Oh, well, we'll see. Maybe in a few episodes' time, we can come back to the topic and you can see whether I've pulled out my remaining hair in the process, or for anybody who's not watched the YouTube, I have very, very little hair on the top of my head. I buzz it down, but yeah, it's either going to be that or it's going to be like, woo, I can see how this is working. I'm hoping for the latter.
Fantastic. I forgot to ask this before we started recording, but are we going to talk about servers?
Do you still hate them or do you love them, Daniel? Because
I always hate servers. I always hate servers, but they're a fantastic means to an end, which is providing our customers with cutting edge solutions to drive synergy and create I don't know. Create.
Well, if you're going to use words like that, Daniel,
create synergy.
Yeah, I think we'll circle back to that one at the end of the day.
No, we're gonna put that in the parking lot. Anyway, servers. What has been happening in serverland is that ever since a few months ago, our TelemetryX main servers, the Druid ones, the ones that are causing all my hair to go gray, are living in AWS land instead of Azure land, but all the rest is still living in a Kubernetes cluster in Azure land because it's been working-ish, and I wanted to get the Druid situation under control before I touched that. But no, the Druid situation is under control, so we've been sitting down and just like converting every single Kubernetes container into a standard Docker container that then can run on Amazon's Elastic container service. And so that is now already like every single service and API container is now ready at api.prod.telemetrydeck.com and api.staging.telemetrydeck.com and so on. And it's so I've been like setting all these up, and I've been testing all the APIs, and they're just like waiting. And like tomorrow morning, I'm gonna sit down on my computer and I'm gonna push a button, and that button is gonna change the DNS entry from the old servers to the new servers, and then signals will hopefully be flowing to the new servers. And our customers ideally should notice nothing because the main databases and everything have been moved like weeks ago. But yeah, it's going to be exciting. I'm going to be watching a lot of dashboards.
Love it. I kind of get this like mission control sort of mental image.
I'm bringing my iPad to the office, and I have the big screen, and also my laptop is going to be open, and then my coworker's laptop as well. And it's going to be a bit mission control style. We have various Grafana dashboards for the more technical stuff. We have various telemetry deck dashboards for other other things that we're monitoring, because like some of the monitoring for telemetry deck is done in telemetry deck. And I hate everything about servers, but I'm learning more and more, and I'm more and more able to do things right. And I want to do them right because I want this to be super stable and smooth, so I can go back to the cool, fun stuff as soon as possible.
Well, that's awesome, Daniel. And I'm looking forward to seeing some of this. I think you're thinking about maybe recording a little TikTok video or something that shows your your
You
mission
had the
control.
funnest idea. I mean, I can tell you a bit, like, because like, either I'm going to record it or not, but this
Yep.
show is going to come out after. So I have this this big red button that when I press it, it says various not safe for work things, like that was bull thing,
We can say
bull
this.
crap,
I don't mind.
bull
I'm
crap.
not going to bleep you.
And so I'm gonna bring that to the office, and instead of just like clicking a button, I'm also gonna like hit that button, hit that huge red button, and then like record me, and then hopefully the signals will like just start to trickle in and then rush in as more and more
Yeah.
of the DNS gets updated.
Brilliant. Well,
Yeah.
hoping it all goes smoothly. Looking forwards to seeing the big red button video, Daniel.
Yeah.
And and obviously I'm hoping DNS doesn't fail you too much, and it's a resounding success. I'm envisioning a yeah, we've launched it, kind of like, you know, and
yeah, the
in the
thing is,
control
like,
room.
I'm hoping that too. Like, the thing is, like, in theory, all this architecture works, but like some of the things that we do. Hey, Mimi's visiting. Like, you're very lucky to
You
have been
have a
visited
cat
by a
coworker.
tiny gray
Hey.
cat. So like many of the things that we're doing, like, you can only test them under load. Like you can only test it if like 25 million people are sending data to it. And that is on the one hand pretty cool. On the other hand, like sometimes you find you can't find the problems easily or you can't predict what's going to fail. So I've kind of like over provisioned everything. Like all the machines are like at least one size bigger than they need to be, or like one more than they need to be, stuff like that. And so yeah, let's see.
Yeah, and you can bring that down after the fact, right?
Exactly. And also like just like that's why I'm doing it in the morning, because the morning German time is like when the least traffic is happening. And also I'll be able to just monitor that whole thing the whole day from like mission control, basically. So that makes me a tiny bit more relaxed than I would be otherwise. Because like that's one thing that I learned. Like so many times I'm like, oh, it's the end of the day, but I'm not 100% finished. So let me just do this one last thing. And then the one last thing is like, now I've triggered an avalanche of follow-ups that I can't leave because there's no jumping off point now. And suddenly it's like 2 p.m. 2 a.m. I mean,
it's the don't release on Friday kind of moment.
Yeah,
and it's that
exactly.
You're making me realize that I have shipped GoVJ 3.4 and I've not really celebrated or done anything to kind of like officially launch it.
Deplorable, Dave. Like, what do you usually do to celebrate? Like, what's a like? Do you like open a bottle of champagne? Do you like, I don't know, throw your hat in the air and do a little dance?
I could throw my hat in the air and do a little dance. No, I've not. I haven't done anything. I think, maybe there's a steak or some sort of like I don't know, hot chicken dish that I would have that would be like, this is the celebratory meal. Because I don't really drink these days, but no. When I say I've not really done anything to celebrate it, what I'm really thinking though is that I would normally like really push the release, and I've released it, let it crank through the App Store. I posted a video to Instagram about it, so I've not completely ignored it. But I've yet to like hit up my mailing list or really, post several videos about what it's doing, because actually I could.
Isn't that the one with the audio reactivity?
It is, yeah.
It's
so
especially important to push that, because like lots of people are going to be super impressed by it and like being like, this is actually what I need to be doing.
Yeah, that's my job for this weekend. So as we record, it's Thursday, and I just feel like I need a bit of time to just pull a couple of good videos together and then get them out. And when I do that, because releasing to Instagram or TikTok is becoming relatively easy for me, the follow-up exercise that ends up getting lost is then doing the same thing to the mailing list. and to hit up all the other areas. So I guess I'm going on record so that next week you can turn around to me and say, Dave, did you actually do the marketing push for your app? And the answer has to be
I was
yes.
expecting to hear about it today. Like, Dave,
Yeah.
like really, you need to do this. It's very important. Like people need to really hear about liberté, égalité, audio, réactivité.
Yes, yeah, they do. It is fun to play with, and I think that's what I really need to show people. So
it is fun to
watch
like.
this
It's fun to
space.
see you play with it. Like you gotta show the work. This is like super important. Also, you worked
Yeah.
so hard on that feature and like put in so
Mm-hmm.
much effort. And like you always tell me, like, Daniel, you gotta like show what you're working on. So
Yep,
you gotta eat your own medicine, drink your own
I
medicine,
do. Take my own
eat your own
medicine.
steak.
Yes.
I was like, what a waving with ESA mission patches.
Yeah. It's a thing, right? With the doing of the dev is the bit that I really enjoy, and then the actual promoting bit is like, oh god, do I really have to? Even now, I still feel like that. So,
Oh, because like last week you were like, you sounded very much like, oh yeah, this actually no I feel you sounded like you've got it figured out. Like you're like, oh yeah, just like do the thing and like it works out and like I do all the videos and the content.
yeah. And now it's like I know what I've got to do, but it was easier to just hit an Instagram video, and then go, okay, I don't want to think about that right now. So, yes, I definitely need to take my own medicine. You've got me saying it now. Eat my own medicine. But I will, and hopefully by the time this show goes out, I can attach a few things to the show notes to show what I've actually done. And if listeners
Very
of the
good.
show are looking at those show notes and they are bare, feel free to send me a comment and tell me off.
Send Dave messages saying, Dave, I was really hoping for some cool GoVJ Pro audio reactivity content.
Yes, it'll be Dave, eat your own medicine.
Yeah, that's going into the list of the titles.
It is.
Or the
It
possible
is.
titles.
Um,
I ate my own medicine because I did not. Well, no, I partially because I did not do any marketing content this in the last time that we spoke. But what I did do is I had a very long talk with Lisa about like managing the roadmap, because it's finally time for me also, like among all the server stuff, to like return to regular scheduled service. So what that means is like just like talking about like what are the next features, and the next few features are all like boring stuff, but that's really important for the business.
right.
Like I have almost finished I've had this branch laying around for months now, which is a rework of how our customers pay for telemetry deck, because we want to go to a volume-based pricing, and that has been there for billions of years at this point. And I need to finish this, like finish the UI, like test it all, and like get it out there, because there's just a certain class of customer who doesn't want to start paying right away, which I really understand. And also for some of our customers, it's actually hard to like, because we have these pretty steep steps. Like once you kind of like maxed out your plan, like you get a really sharp bump up to the next plan. And if you can make this a bit smoother and you only pay for what you're actually using, and if your usage is going up because your app is more successful, then you can will go up gradually with the volume of data that you send. Then that's good for us, but that's also good for our customers. And so that's what I'm gonna be working on in the next few weeks.
Awesome.
And it's so hard sometimes to go back into this mode where I try to be like, I've had chaotic weeks, but I was like, I'm gonna concentrate on the server stuff because that's the most important stuff. Now the server stuff is almost coming to an end, And the temptation is very big, not only for me, but also for my coworkers, to jump in front of me and be like, this is just a tiny little change that I need. Like someone asked us on Twitter if we could do this, or not on Twitter, on social media. I'm just using it interchangeably. Or someone like, or can we just like have this very tiny change somewhere? And I'm like, I'd love to have all these tiny things, but we need to have like some order again, because like otherwise I'm just like pulled in 17 different directions. So I'm going to be enforcing again the roadmap, and what's not on the roadmap doesn't get worked on. And so if you have a thing that you want to include in the programming, especially if it flows through my fingers, then it's going to have to fit in somewhere with the items on the roadmap. And so the next two items are like new pricing structure, and then just like basically a large ticket of just like fix 70 to 80 bugs. bugs and bugs. We have like one project that's called bugs and paper cuts, and I think it's high time to and every time someone like reports an annoyance or something not working right, I just like add it to that project. And it's time. The pendulum has to swing to just like making things a bit prettier, a bit more easy to use, and also just like reducing the paper cuts a little bit. And so those are the next two items on the roadmap, and they are not glamorous, they're not glorious, but they need to be done.
Yeah, and it's good that you're now going to get some time to go do them. Like, it must feel good to be on the other side of that pendulum, even though there's a fair bit of work to do.
After those two items, there are like fun things on the roadmap, things I really, really want to work on. Things I'm like, that's gonna look so cool. Like I kind of posted a sneak peek at some navigational analytics the other day on the Mastodons, where I didn't even comment on that thing. I was like, I had this interesting revelation about how traffic moves on the telemetry deck website, and was just like this multi-dimensional graph of movement between different nodes on the website, because I wanted to kind of just like sneak peek that graph. I wanted to sneak peek that graph into the screenshot. So I really want to go back to work on that prototype and make this into a more like actually usable thing. But the gods have put the boring stuff first, because that really needs to be done. And by the gods, I mean like me and Lisa, basically. We're the gods.
Yeah. It's the trouble with being your own boss, as it were.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'm just chasing up your Mastodon actually and trying to see where it was, but you can link it to me.
I'll look it up. I'll look it up in a minute, because it's been a few days ago, I think. Other than that, I actually managed to get in a feature that that's been half finished for a while. And so like basically last Friday and this Monday, I wasn't able to work on the servers, because I had to wait for my server worker colleague to finish some stuff. And so what I did is I was like, I'm going to finally finish the revenue cat integration feature. And this is an old hat for you, because you've been hearing about this feature for a while. What it is like you add a few lines of code to your app that is using revenue cat. And then you also add the telemetry deck API link to the revenue cat webhooks feature. And that in combination will send revenue cat events to telemetry deck. And what I've now finished doing is I have created a dashboard in telemetry deck that will basically analyze your revenue cat data. And that's going to be released in the next few days. And that's pretty cool, because it looks very nice. It looks very nice. And also it gives you a lot of like information right away. And some of that information, like you can't even see on your like normal revenue cat dashboard. Also, it tries to be smart. It's going to, like, when you open up the feature for the first time, it's looking at your data, and it's like, okay, are you sending like revenue data using the telemetry deck SDK? Because that's also possible. or are you sending data or like getting data from revenue count? And in case like, and then it kind of decides which mode to switch to, and then it just sticks to that mode. And if it doesn't detect any of that data, it will just like show you the documentation how to enable either feature. The thing is, I wanted to make this really pretty, but I was missing a few things. And so, and the things that our query language kind of couldn't do. And so I was like, I'm sorry, I got to do this. So I added 2 new features that sound big, but are kind of tiny. First one is value formatters. You can now add to any telemetry query that you handwrite. Like there's no UI for this yet, but you can add to any telemetry query. You can add a value formatter object, and that controls how to format numbers at the very end of the process. So like all the numbers need to be just numbers during the whole like calculation, also like when you display charts. But once you display the number, a number on the screen, like on a tooltip or on the side of a chart, you can now add this value formatter. It supports currency and units and stuff like that, and like you can round stuff. Basically, it's just a dictionary that you give to like JavaScript's value formatter function.
Yeah.
But the query supports it, so it will like hang on to it. Like if you put it into the query, like the query will like pass it through all the different parts of the system, so it can come out at the other end. So that's pretty cool because finally people can round stuff, or if you have monetary values, you can actually like have a $sign or a euro sign there. So that's pretty cool. And the other thing that I added was a scan query. So all the telemetry queries so far, time series, top end, and group by, they only support like aggregating data. So all the data that you get is always like okay, in total, the number of things was like 17 or whatever. But except for the very custom made, here's your list of recent signals view, you cannot get a list of just like signals or events. That is what the scan query is for. So scan, like query type scan, just means, all right, it's a select asterisk from table name SQL query, basically. So you just like say, okay, give me these columns with these filters, order them ascending or descending by time, and that is it. And that's pretty cool because if I can put that in a table, I can show you like the recent payment events or all the recent revenue cut events.
Got it.
But also the same, like this is, you have to handcraft your query for that as of now, but you can also use that in your own queries. So you can just like have a query that just shows you the list of whatever events now.
That's cool. That's really cool. How does this
also,
wire up? Could I?
Yeah.
Sorry, just think it through.
No.
Like, could I route this in a sense of going? I've got these. I'm just trying to think through how I would want it. Like, you've got the funnels in there at the moment, and sometimes what I want when I'm looking in a funnel is to be able to highlight a bit and then go, okay, but what's that made of here or there? I'm just wondering if that would be something that could be done as well. Like, hard for me to put my finger on it. I think it's a case of going, like, if I want to know where somebody went next, and there's multiple options of where it goes to next, can I also then put a scan on that end bit using the same filters to then show a table of that?
No, you can't. What you really need is for that is like a segmented funnel, like what is called a flow. And that is also part of the navigation and analytics ticket, but that comes after the boring parts of the roadmap.
Okay, so it's in the fun side. That's fine.
That is like one of the fun things that I really want to do. Like the graph is the one thing, but also like multi-dimensional funnels or segmented funnels is a cool thing for analytics people.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm registering my interest, Daniel, when you've got that together. Let's demo it on the show. Oh,
Fantastic. Oh yeah, one last thing that I also added to that screener that I want to like continue doing in the next UI overhaul or whenever I work on UI is all the pre-made charts. You can't change them right now, right? They're just pre-made, they're just there. But
hmm,
all the new ones that I added, what I did is there's a copy button now that allows you to copy the query so that you
cool.
can copy that query and then just paste it into the main dashboards area and create the same chart but in editable. And I think I want to
Okay.
go a bit more in that direction. Like at some point, like there could be even more customization, but I want to start slow. I just want to be like,
Yeah.
okay, people are gonna be like, okay, how do you get that data? And I'm like, here, that's the query for it. So at least like you can start at the same point that I started at,
Yep.
and maybe learn a bit more about the query language. Maybe change things slightly, stuff like that. So I'm hoping that will be good.
That's really cool. I sort of feel like I want like a query um, playground of some sort or a scratchpad type bit where you could do that and then copy those things out to then lock them
That's
in.
also on the roadmap, but like a bit
Yeah.
further down.
It's almost like I can see your roadmap, even though I
Yeah,
can't. Like,
yeah.
that's cool. That's really cool. Oh, well, I'm looking forward to all of these things, Daniel, and yeah, it's going to be good to see. But I feel slightly on the hook after our earlier conversation. I've really got to pull my finger out with the videos and the releasing of my app. That feels
Yeah.
yeah, I feel slightly embarrassed that I've not.
I'm gonna sit down later and write a like announcement blog post for the Revenue Cat integration.
Mhm.
And then I'm kind of hoping that our friends at Revenue Cat will also like publish something about us, which would be really great. Like we haven't talked about it yet.
Yeah,
But yeah, just like get a bit of publicity out of about that whole feature as well.
awesome. Well, we can ping each other later outside of the show to check that we've done our homeworks, as it were. uh, but Daniel, I'm going to have to wrap up the show. My day's starting on this side, as is the balance of time zones and everything else. The day's finishing on your side because you're up in the northern hemisphere and I'm all the way down here in New Zealand. But yeah, before we go, Daniel, do you want to do the outro? Send us out.
I do, but like that whole balance thing kind of reminded me of something from my childhood, which is there's this whiskey called Johnny Walker, and they had a German language ad campaign when I was young. Like there was this in the like a TV ad campaign, and I don't know, like you just reminded me of that because it was always like some guy is always a guy like just like sitting down like and it's the evening, so he's kind of like pouring himself some Johnny Walker or something, and then the voiceover always goes like, the day goes, Johnny Walker comes. So yeah. My day's
Fair
going.
enough. It is indeed. Oh man, that was the long way around there, Daniel. But I love it. So, are you going to have a whiskey now to close out your day? Has that
I
triggered a response?
may do I even have some? I used to be so into whiskey, but like that's kind of died down because I want to be uh, like I have like less opportunities. But yeah, I might actually I get some whiskey. All right. I want to say goodbye, but I can't. I have a problem with the Apple Notes app that contains the outro. So all right, here we go. It kind of like was like unresponsive for a second. Anyway, this is the show. Thank you so much for listening. Please rate us on iTunes. Please give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Do not click the stupid bell. Like I forbid it. Do not click the bell. Send us emails at contact@waitingforreview.com and join our Discord. The link is in the show notes. All right, Dave, where can people find you?
Oh, you can find me over on Instagram with the username lightbeamapps.com. That's spelt Lightbeam Apps, and then dot is DOT.com. You can also find out all about my apps over just at lightbeamapps.com, everywhere that good websites are served in your browser. But how about yourself, Daniel?
Fantastic. Let's plug Blue Sky this time. Like, I have a new Blue Sky account that is somehow, like, over the last few days, suddenly gained a lot of followers. So let's keep that going. So hang on. Like, I somehow break the system was already taken, and I think I might have taken my own account, because I sometimes do that. Like, oh, there's a new social app. Like, I'm just gonna register, break the system, and then forget the password. But so I'm break the system and Blue Sky, but there's a dash between break the and a system. So right in the middle is a dash. So break th-e system on Blue Sky. Follow me there, or just like go to telemetrydeck.com, because it's maybe a bit easier to spell. All right, Dave, it's been fantastic. See you around. Have a fantastic day.
You too, mate.
May your day come.
Wow, what a way to finish the show. I'll catch you next week, Daniel. Take care, mate.
Bye. That was the climax of the show.